Sometimes even atheists like Jesus. Take Richard Dawkins. He is a famous English scientist and also a vocal atheist. He really does not like religion, but he likes Jesus. I once read a speech he made. Dawkins talked about how Jesus rebelled against the nasty parts of the religion of his day. In fact, we hear Jesus doing just that in today's story from Mark's Gospel. Dawkins says Jesus publicly advocates niceness and was one of the first to do so. He calls Jesus a charismatic young preacher who advocated generous forgiveness. And Dawkins even thinks there should be T-shirts that say, "Atheists for Jesus." And I think that's kind of cute, and it's also very interesting. Jesus does rebel against religion's darker side. He argues with the religious leaders who make religion all about the rules. Some clergy, back then and now, make religion rule-centered. For them, religion is something external. The rituals, the disciplines, the customs, the rules, the boundaries. But Jesus was more interested in religion's internals, the transformed heart, the way of love, the soul of compassion. Now, Jesus is certainly not rejecting the Jewish religion. This is not a question of Jesus versus Judaism. Jesus always was a faithful Jew. But this argument does run through every single religion. You can be a Jew, a Christian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Hindu in one of two ways. On the one hand, you could focus on the external rules: circumcision, baptism, Sabbath observance, what to wear, when to fast, how many times each day to pray, what's okay to eat, what's not okay to eat. On the other hand, you could focus on the internal, the transformation of the heart, the compassion of God, and the imitation of that compassion. Some religious people, back then and today, focus on the holiness of God. Jesus focuses on the compassion of God. And that's the argument behind today's story from the Gospel of Mark. The way of Jesus is the way of the Jewish prophets before him. It's the way of the transformed heart, and is a new way of seeing and a new way of being. It centers on the compassion of God. Now, here's a story I've always liked a lot. Once upon a time, some people got mad at their church. They thought their preacher was too soft on holiness and sin. They thought the other people in their church were not serious enough about being righteous and spiritual. So they left, and they started their own new church. At first, they met in one another's homes. Eventually, they got their own church building. And they put a sign out in front of their church building, one of those signs like we have with the letters you can rearrange on it, so you can put messages for people who pass by to read. Well, the message on their sign said this: Jesus only. Well, one night there's a big storm, and the wind blew some letters off that sign, blew off the J, the E, and the S. And now that sign told the truth about that narrow, self-righteous group of people. Us only. There are always religious people who are part of this argument. There are always people who draw boundaries between us and them. There are always people in the church and outside the church who build walls between who is in and who is out. They want everyone in their religion, in their nation, to be pure. They want their synagogue pure. They want their mosque pure. They want their church pure. But as long as a synagogue or a mosque or a church is made up of human beings, it will never be pure. Our faith communities cannot be pure if we ourselves are part of them. So the church of Jesus can't be pure, but the church of Jesus can be loved. And the church of Jesus can be loving. Now, if you know me well, you know that I have poor math skills. I mean, in music school, we only had to count to 4. Well, actually, sometimes we had to count to 6. But that was it. However, I know the difference between 2 equations. One equation says religion equals rules. The other equation says religion equals the transformed heart. I may have poor math skills, but I know which of those equations adds up. Jesus taught compassion over rules. Jesus lived compassion over rules. Jesus is compassion, and compassion rules. It all adds up to that. Amen.